So, lately I've been thinking about myself and some of the problems that I encounter in my daily life, and I've talked to some mental health professionals about it as well, and it seems that I am still a little more perfectionistic, is that a word, than I thought. Honestly, I have been a very perfectionistic person in the past, but I thought that I had come over it quite well. Like I'm not as perfectionistic anymore as I was, because, for example, in school I don't really care anymore about getting like all eights or whatever. But in certain other areas in my life, I still, like, if I look back or if I think about it, I can see that there is still some sort of perfectionism going on in there, whereas it's not as clear as it was in the past. So I have thought about, where does it come from? Why do I need to be? Why does everything need to be perfect? And what does it even mean to be perfect? What is perfection? And I've especially looked at the correlation or the relation between perfectionism and control, because to me, those two things are kind of like the red threads throughout my life, the things that have caused the most problems in my life. Both have to do with control and perfection. So I have thought about that, and I want to share with you some of my theories that I kind of created on that. This time I wrote it down. So I will have to be looking at my paper for some time. But anyways, so it's not going to be all over the place, I hope, this time. I mean, my thoughts are always over the place. But anyways, so the question was, what is the relation between perfection and control, if there is any? Maybe perfection is not the thing I am striving for, but the thing I am striving for is what I deem to be perfection. So it's not the concept perfection that is what I want, but the thing that I want is what I call perfection. Because why would you strive for less than the thing that you actually want? So what you want is automatically called perfection. So in my theory, that thing that I want or that you want is what I call perfection. So, and to get what you want, you need control. That's the other concept in this theory. So I need to be in control to get my perfection, because I don't trust other people to deliver the things I need to get the perfection. So I need to be in full control. So in order to get that thing that I want, I need to have control over certain things, because I cannot trust other people to help me get to that perfection, or I cannot trust all the variables in life to be pointing in the right direction in order for me to get to that perfection, right? Also, because people are unpredictable and they have different wants and needs, and so they have different perfections, so different things that they want to strive for. So our behavior is inherently nudged by our wants and needs. So we do the thing that is needed to get to the thing that we want, right? But if both of our wants are different, we will also not be able to, like, we are not going to have the same kind of behavior, right? So, for example, in a relationship, for me, perfection is being like cared for in a safe place, without physical connection, being cared for with intrinsic, genuine reasons, without the need for physical kind of payoff, like, oh, if I listen to you talk about your source, then I will get something from you, like something physical that I may need to have. That is what I want. In order to get, I need to be in control of the other person, because otherwise I can't be sure they will act according to my idea of perfection. But because I can't control other people in a relationship, it is something that I don't dare to get into, because I am no longer in control. So, because we don't know what the other person's intentions are, right? Even though we can communicate to each other our wants and needs, so we might know what the other person wants. It's not always 100% like the reality, right? What I say that I want is not always exactly what I want, and that is also because, again, our behavior is like guided by our wants and needs, and we are all socialized people, and we know unconsciously maybe how to respond or how to react or what to do in order to get the other person to perform the thing that we want them to perform or what we need them to do, right? So I can give socially accepted answers so that I will get something from that person which I need, without actually telling them what I really need or want. So even though you can communicate with each other, and I mean, communication is key in a relationship, that's what they always say, right? Even then, I don't feel like we can fully be sure or be certain about the other person's intentions. The only incentive for me to try anything, oh wait, sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. The only incentive for me to try anyway is if I could lower my standards or my wants. So if I consciously decide I can do with less than my original perfection, or if I redefine my perfection. So by lowering standards, I don't mean that I'm like, oh, okay, so I can do like this, not necessarily standards for what you need in a person as a partner, but also just in any kind of perfection situation. So for example, if I try to strive for all 8s out of 10s for my exams and stuff, that in that situation, my having an 8, getting an 8 is my perfection. But if I decide for whatever reason that, oh, from now on 7 is also good, maybe because I've seen that other people always get a 6, and so I don't need to get like an 8 in order to be outstanding. I can do with a 7, and I do not have that much time on hands anymore. Then I can redefine my perfection into, okay, it's no longer an 8 but a 7. And then that's what I mean by lowering standards. But there must be a good reason for me to redefine perfection. That is because why would you lower your standards if there is no reason for it? Because there was a reason for you in the first place to define your perfection as it is. So in that case, that reason, that very good reason, has to be something that we call painful. Something painful. This sounds weird. Pain. This theory I learned from writing, which is that every character or every person, their behavior is, well, steered by pain. And every decision you make in your life is basically there to try and avoid the most painful situation. So let's say your situation you're in right now, that is what we call the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is just something that there is no incentive for you to change what you're doing, and you're doing just fine. You're just like, I'm in a safe bubble. The things I do, I'm in control. I'm not getting hurt or whatever, or not hurt enough, at least. But at some point, well, let's say you're in that comfort zone and there is something out there. Well, let's give a very like a good tangible example, right? Which we can work with, and which is very personal to me, because you may know that I have had an eating disorder for 7 years, and well, being in your eating disorder isn't a great spot to be in, right? Let's just put it out there. It's not good. But for the person being in there, it is actually their comfort zone, because you have some sort of control over your life. At least that was for me the reason it was my comfort zone. You know where you're in, you know what to expect, you know how things go, and you have control over your body, you have control over your food and whatever. But eventually, the pain of being in there, being and having an eating disorder, and thus not being able to participate in certain social activities, or not like progressing in life as a person, that pain is going to outgrow the pain of getting out of your comfort zone, because getting out of your comfort zone means discomfort, right? Because we're stepping out of the comfort zone. We're entering a time in which we have no control, or no perceived control, at least. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if I start eating more, how much my body will change, and in what direction, like how will it look? Will it look the way that I would want it to look? I have no longer control. But in order to get to the next comfort zone, which is being healthy again, being recovered, having a healthy mindset, having a good relationship with your body, with food, with other people, being more self secure, like confident about yourself, and not needing that kind of control over the food anymore. That is the next comfort zone. But you're here now, and you have to go there. And in order to go there, you have to pass through the discomfort zone, so to say. That in itself is painful, right? This thing is not the painful thing, but passing through that discomfort zone is painful. Now, there must be a very good reason for you to choose consciously, voluntarily, to get out of your comfort zone, and to pass through that discomfort zone, which we don't know how long will be, right? It's very daunting. It's very threatening. It's frightening. Like, you will lose control, and you have no idea where you will end up. Like, we have an idea of what it will be like, but we don't know exactly what it will be like. Whereas we know exactly what our current comfort zone looks like. So the reason to step out of that comfort zone must be more painful than stepping out of that comfort zone. So, because the human mind will always choose the less painful option, and mostly that is the least painful option in short term, because that's just how our brain works. Okay, let's see. Blah blah blah. Okay, so here's a graphic example. I don't know, can you see this? I think you can. Oh, no, different. Okay. Anyways, darkness. So and let's see what did I say? Because the pain of staying in your comfort zone is bigger than experiencing the discomfort of not being in control and thus not being able to do exactly as you please to do. Because in my comfort zone, I am in control, so I can do what I want. But as soon as I step out, I'm not in control anymore, so I cannot do only what I want. And not doing what I want equals pain, or potentially equals pain, not always, obviously, but we have no control over the pain anymore, so there is a chance of getting hurt, and that in itself gives anxiety. Okay. So, so the options you have in order to get to perfection, I'm aware that I kind of jump from one thing to the other, because that's how my brain works while writing this down. But so the thing is, you either have to go through the discomfort zone, in which you have no or less control, to get to the next comfort zone and thus to your perfection or to the next perfection, or you need enough control over the variables to be able to bridge the discomfort zone and get what you want. But then you have to be in control of everything. That is almost impossible, unless, of course, unless it is like something that is not that big. Like, I don't know, but like getting an 8 for your exam could not be that big, because there's a few variables. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but anyway. But you have a lot of control over this, because you are the one who is doing the work, right? You are studying, so you have some kind of control. But yeah, I'd say the discomfort there is the studying in itself, right? Not everyone likes to study, and then studying, we rather don't study because doing like fun things is less painful than studying. But in order to get to that perfection, we need to pass that discomfort zone, because if we would have control over every variable, we would make sure to get to that perfection without any pain, and thus we would just say to the teacher, please give me an 8 and I will not study. And if we have full control over everything, that will work, but it's not reality, so it won't work. Sadly. Okay. You can only be fully in control if you'd exist on your own, because there is only your own perfection. But as soon as other people come into play, that will diminish your autonomy, your control, because everyone wants a say in the system that is called life. And now, in order to get to your perfection, you need to deal with other people first in order to get there. And they will eventually have a bit of control over you in return for you achieving your perfection. So there is an exchange of control going on here, where we grant someone's perfection in exchange for having control over them in order to get to their own perfection. So, like I said, if you step out of your discomfort zone and you're going on your way to your perfection, in that discomfort zone, you do not have full control over everything. Instead, you will have to deal with with people, but also with other like hurdles that are in your way, blocking your way, so to say, to get that perfection. For example, if my perfection of, well, maybe I'm going to say that next. Not yet. Okay, interesting. I had written down an example of this, so but it's not on the next page, so I will just say it now, and then I will refer back to it when it's there. So for example, my perfection, like my perfect life, the depiction of my perfect life is living on my own in a small cute cottage somewhere on the mountains or in a forest, and I will have like a dog or two and a cat or two, and I will be like a full-time independent illustrator slash author slash translator, something that doesn't work, for which I don't need to get out of my house and work together with other people. And there will just be enough, like there will be a supermarket in the area and a swimming pool for me to do my favorite sports and stuff. So that is my perfect depiction of life. But in order to get that perfection, that thing that I want, in which I have full control, you see, because there is no other person in my life there, and I have full control because I'm an independent illustrator, author, translator, whatever. I do whatever I want. I can do it the way I want to do it, which is the least painful method. There is no other person, nothing else that is influencing my life and making it horrible, right? There is no pain in there. But in order to get there, I will need a few things, right? I will need a job. First of all, I will need to have an established job as an illustrator, author, writer, whatever. But in order to get that, I will have to do as publishers want or as clients want, right? Because I will need to get a certain status as that person, as an author, as a translator, as an illustrator. I will need to be appealing to clients, because otherwise they will not give me the money, and if I don't have money, I cannot buy a house. I cannot survive. So in order to get the money, I have to do as other people like, which may be painful because it is not exactly the thing that I would do if I was in control. I will have to do that. But as soon as I have established this kind of status where people know me and they know what I can do, and they will trust me, so to say, that I will make something that is good on my own, I can then try to become more autonomous again, in like having more influence in whatever I do and doing the things that I want to do, and not so much the things that other people want me to do, because they already know me and they will pay for me whatever, what, you know what I mean. No matter what, that's what I want to say, no matter what. But yeah, so you can see there are a few hurdles there. You have to work with people and do as other people please, so essentially they have control over you, because they can give you access to your perfection, but to get that you have to do what other people want you to do. So in a sense they have that part of control over you. Yeah, that's my example. Well, let's go on to the next page. Then what is the relation with pain? Some theory says that pain is the reason for all our actions. What? Sorry. To avoid pain. That's not a really good sentence, but you know what I mean. Who wants to have pain? Sorry, it was a rhetorical question. Let's say most people don't want to experience pain. They will do everything to avoid it. Sometimes there is only pain or pain. Then you will choose the least painful option. if we can choose a situation ourselves, if we have full control over the possibilities, of course, we wouldn't voluntarily choose a life with pain. Our perfect life is pain-free, no discomfort. Perfection then is the state free of pain. Pain is the discomfort zone where we can't control everything to make things pain-free. So, and then I am going to tell that example. So I already did that. Yeah, I already did that. Oh yeah, so here's a little bit more, a little small example here as well. This thing. Yeah, it's not really clear maybe, but I'll just explain. So, like I said, my perfection was in the past scoring an 8 out of 10. The discomfort zone is everything below 8. Because, okay, let's say the perfection is 8. Why? Because it will grant me control over my future. Because if you score an 8 in the Netherlands, in the Dutch system, you will be granted some access to some club for, I don't know, people that have all 8s. Really weird. I am part of that, but I don't know. I've never been there anyways. Not really interested. But it will also grant you access to, for example, I went to Korea for a year, and that was only possible because I got a scholarship, and I could only get that scholarship if I had all those 8s, and I didn't know that back when I finished my high school. But because I did that, I could go to Korea with the money from this organization, which I really needed, otherwise I couldn't go. So it has given me control over that part of my life, that I can choose whatever I want to do. Because if I didn't have that 8, there was for me there would not have been an option. Like, that option was not possible for me at all. So I couldn't control my life in that direction. For immediate results of getting an 8 was being pain-free, and scoring an 8 or higher, well, that is very good. So it would grant you some proud parents, proud teachers, and there would not be a reason to be scolded, right? There's no reason that my parents would get mad at me for scoring an 8. So I could avoid that kind of pain, but I could not avoid that if I had anything lower than that, right? If I, well, maybe like above the 5.5, maybe it would be fine, but just to be sure, and I mean lower than an 8 would not have granted me this access to everything in my life. So everything below an 8 would be a discomfort zone. So scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for me would be like discomfort zone, because it would mean immediate pain in that, well, poor scorings, angry parents, disappointed teachers. Oh my god. And I would not have full control over my future, because, well, it's just that society doesn't allow or grant you access, at least not that easily, to certain things if you haven't scored very high on your high school exams. So that's another example. I've written down here that following other people's rules, so in the discomfort zone, if you want to get to that perfection, you have to follow other people's rules, right? Actually, getting that 8 was very painful, but I had to follow that rule of getting an 8 in order to get to that perfection of full control. So I had to follow someone else's rule. The rule of that organization that gives out scholarships was having all 8, well, I had to follow that rule in order to get my perfection going to Korea. But that means I had no full control at that moment, right? Because I couldn't control my life at that moment where I had to like work for the aids. I had to study all the time. I had no free time, so not really full control of my life. That means it is also insecurity or like uncertainty, because you don't know what the other people want to do. If you don't have full control, you can never be certain of what will happen. There will thus also be a chance of pain because we cannot control. If we are not in control, if I was in control, I would make sure that there will not be pain for me. But because we're not in control, there still is a chance of getting hurt, of there being pain. And that in itself causes anxiety, right? I am afraid of pain, like all sorts of pain, not only physical pain, but emotional pain, or just pain as in I have to work hard, or getting stressed. Stress is also a form of pain, so that gives anxiety. The only thing that can counteract this uncertainty is trust. So trust cannot, I would say, trust can counteract uncertainty. So we might feel more certain if we trust the other people, or if we trust the process, or if we trust that whatever we do will get to that result that we want. But I'm not sure if it can also counteract then that anxiety, because even though we trust people, there can still be a chance of pain. But let's say if I trust like whatever I do is going to work out, which you can do with positive affirmations. Anyways, sorry. If we trust that whatever I do will grant me that perfection, it will work out in the end, even though it is painful right now, or if I'm having to go through this discomfort zone, it can become less painful because. Okay, sorry, I had to walk up the stairs. So if we trust that it will be alright, we can also trust that there will not be any pain. And if we trust that, then we don't think there will be a chance of pain, which means there will also not be anxiety, right? So, what does that mean in practice? Well, it's very interesting, very important thing for people, even we can't speak anymore, in an eating disorder, to know that, well, you're now in this comfort zone. You want to go to this comfort zone. There will be a discomfort zone with pain, but it can be less painful if you trust that you will get to this perfection, right? You will get to this comfort zone. Even though you're not now in control, if you trust that everything will work out for you, then it will calm you down and you will become less scared of that pain, because you trust that there will not be pain in the comfort zone, in the next perfection. And you will trust that everything works out. So there is no reason for you to be anxious, or not as much anymore. So, and if you're not that anxious, then there is the obstacle to get out of your the light. That's better. So there is the obstacle to getting out of your comfort zone now in order to get to the next comfort zone will be smaller, because there is less anxiety, and it will help you to go through that discomfort zone and face your fears. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Next. Oh, ooh. Okay, so I think we have painted a clear enough picture of what perfection is. It's all about control over painful elements. Perfection is a state free of pain. In order to get that, we need to exert control over things and people to prevent pain. However, before we can reach perfection, we need to go through a zone of discomfort in which we have no control over all variables. In fact, to pass through this zone, we will have to trade control over our lives for access to our perfection. Ideally, this is only a temporal loss of control. We'll retrieve full control once we've reached our state of perfection. Our greatest desire is a state without pain, and that is what we call perfection. So, I hope it is a little bit more clear that the relation between perfection and control. So the reason that we, or at least I, want control so badly is because only then I can assure that I will get to my perfection, which is actually a pain-free state in which I do what I want and not be hurt by anything. Now, the age-old question that remains is perfection ever reached? Or is it something we keep striving for and never reach? Because some people say that nothing is perfect except for God. So that will be the next, I hope the next video, or maybe not. I always say in the next video I will do this, but I will be thinking about this, and I have already thought about this like a year ago or something, 2 years ago maybe. But I had nothing to connect it to, and now I have something to connect it to, so I will hopefully make another video on the question, can you ever reach perfection, or is that just something like idealistic or something, right? Because yeah, maybe. That's for next time. I will talk about that next time, hopefully, and anytime at least. So okay, thank you for listening and watching this video. I hope you found it helpful or insightful, and if you have any questions or something you don't understand, because I mean this is all just my own theories. There's these concepts of perfection and control. That's just what I have thought about in order to understand my own behavior more, and I think maybe it can help other people, especially that part about being in an eating disorder, the comfort zone, the discomfort zone, the pain, the anxiety, and how to deal with that. So I hope that was helpful, and well, thank you, and I see you next time.